welcome to my channel, Haylee Marie Vintage. Today, as you can see here in front of me, I am bringing you a sewing goods haul. Clearly, I did not make my goal this year to buy less fabric. I feel like I bought just as much as previous years, given this is kind of my third or fourth-ish haul video. I brought you my haul from New York, my haul from Sew Expo, and then just like a generic haul, and then a haul from the big fabric sale that I go to. So clearly, I have not met my goal of bringing in less fabric, but let's talk through all this anyway. I'm going to show you the notions, the patterns, and then the fabric, of course, that I picked up. First things here. Whoops, we got zippers. I picked up a lot of zippers from Stephanie Canada this year. I am always on the hunt for a zipper. I felt like I was low on certain colors in my stash, so I took my stash, I looked through it, I noted what I felt like I was missing gap-wise, and I ordered it from her site. I believe now she does not have very many zippers on her site, and part of that might be my fault, but I pretty much only use metal vintage zippers, so whenever I can find them for a good price, and in this case, a good price, and also where I actually had choice as opposed to just a big lot, I'm always going to do that. So that is how I ended up with that big pile of zippers. Another notion that I ended up with, I'll have to take up close photos of these, but they're just some really cute little scissors. I don't actually know if they work. They are not particularly sharp. I'm going to probably have to do a little work to get these functional again. They actually might just need to be tightened, honestly. And hopefully I'll get these guys back in action. And if not, they're a great decorative piece, so I'll use them for that. Another thing that I'm very excited about, box is a little fragile, but this here is a precision rhinestoner. If you guys know me, you know I am pretty into rhinestones, so I was more than excited to discover this was a tool. I can't remember who told me this was a tool, but I was talking to someone and they're like, you know, when I do rhinestones, I do them with a prong setting, and they're like, you do know there's a tool to do that and you don't have to like suffer as much. And I was like, what? So that's how I learned about this, and I picked one up from eBay. I don't feel like they're very expensive, but yeah, I'm pretty excited. I'm excited to give it a whirl. I actually have rhinestones planned very early in the year next year, so it'll be good for that. More notions that I picked up. I picked up these clover bias tape makers from Urban Squirrel is where I picked these guys up. Do I have bias tape makers? Absolutely. Are they this really cute pastel set? No. And do I have one that goes as tiny as this green one or even this purple one? Also no. And I have found in general I prefer smaller bias tapes rather than larger, and I liked the range that these had. Again, I think I probably have this guy already, but I definitely don't have these other sizes, so I'll add these to my bias tape making collection this year. I've gotten a lot better at making bias tape, so it's nice to have these guys around. Next thing that I picked up, I believe I was with Stephanie when we were talking about this, but this is America's Fabrics, or maybe we found it at an antique mall together, and then I followed up by buying one on eBay. I can't quite remember. This is just, in my opinion, a great reference book. It talks a lot about different fabrics and how they're produced. I thought this would be a good resource to have in my library, so I went ahead and picked it up. Honestly, it's a pretty fun book, and there's a lot of stuff in here that isn't made anymore, so it's fun to read and learn more about fabric, especially since we're losing always so much of our fiber arts history and we are losing techniques. So I really recommend that book for that. I also, at the same store, I found lichens for vegetable dyeing, which this is still for fabric dyeing. I don't know why it's like vegetable dyeing. It basically has a bunch of lists of different lichens, what colors you can make with them, how you can do that. But yes, I bought this one, and then I also picked up Growing Herbs and Plants for Dyeing. I have been getting more into dyeing. I think it would be nice to know how to forage for certain dyes because I am sometimes just out in the woods anyway, and so it would be nice to know if I came across a path of things that are useful for dyeing. Last few notions, these I got actually in a swap exchange. I believe they're lace for underwear, not lace, elastic, and I picked these up not to make underwear, but I have some waistbands that I need to fix on some half slips, so I thought this would be handy for it. And like I said, I picked these guys up at a swap, so I paid nothing for them, so I felt like that was great for just something that I could use for my mending. And as I continue to have mending circles where people bring things in, if I can have things that other people can use, I love that. But we are kind of on an antique mall thing. I have picked up some more handkerchiefs. I do have a plan next year for a handkerchief top. I also picked up some doilies. I have a vision for some doilies for either a skirt or a dress. And then I really like my handkerchief skirt that I made this year. However, I would love one that has a lot more colors, so I have been strategically looking for handkerchiefs like this and like this guy that are just a little bit brighter to eventually patchwork together. Also kind of related but unrelated is I have this really lovely linen. This is actually a border print I've been looking for. I've seen it on Etsy, but I actually found it at an antique mall for a bit of a cheaper price. So I picked it up for that. So I'll probably make a shirt with that. I love a tablecloth shirt. I feel like they made higher quality tablecloths back in the day than they make shirts now. So another thing that I found actually at a thrift store is I found this already blocked kind of quilt thing, so I plan on making either a dress or a skirt with it. Actually, before we go any further, I need to talk patterns. Not a ton. I actually am pretty pleased with my lack of pattern buying over the past year or so. I feel like I've been just really trying to figure out what I have in my stash that I really like and what I maybe don't like and where my gaps are. One of my gaps, I guess I decided, is dirndls. I picked up 2 dirndls. I picked up this Berta, which is in English, so we love that. I love vintage dirndls that are specifically this cut. I have quite a few of them, and I have learned enough smocking that I think I can figure out how to do some of the smocking trimmings that they often put on them, so I can have some really cool dirndls. And then I also picked up, this is actually a dirndl pattern in German, but I chose to pick this one up because it actually has some darts in the bust. I really like this in a dirndl pattern, but that's it for dirndls. I also am kind of getting more into some like Renaissance fantasy outfits as everyday outfits as well. So I picked up this guy, which has a really great sleeve variant, as well as like a kind of like really simple corset bustier thing, and it's very like empire waisted, and I just thought this could be useful for specific things. And then on the costume front, I also picked up McCall's 6941, which is their Daenerys costume. I don't plan on using this exactly as they show, and in case you're wondering why I bought 2, I'm right between these 2 sizes and I couldn't make a decision and I panicked, so I bought both. I primarily am going to use just the top, and I'm going to do something else with the bottom because I'm not looking to make this specific white dress. I am looking to make a different look. Yes, that is right now the plan, but I also think it has some good pieces in it with like a nice skirt. I like the belt that's in here, and I also like this little, like, they have like a diagonal lined skirt in here as well that I actually think will be useful. So with all of those things in here, I think this will be a useful multi-purpose pattern for me, but I did pick it up primarily for the bodice. I was anticipating having to pattern draft that myself and was really excited to not need to do that. Here we have some suits. I have been kind of like going more into sets, and I love an ice skating set from the 50s. I always think they're really gorgeous, and I also like the longer length. There's also a zippered version. I think there's a lot of potential in this pattern, so I picked it up for that. And then for this guy here, this is, I really like the collarless version. It's very kind of like Dior New Look. It's like not quite flared enough because it's not a full circle skirt, and I don't think the waist flare is quite right either, but I did think this was a really nice silhouette and something I was interested in trying out. Next up, this is actually a pattern that I've owned and that I've made and that I like, but it's just with a bigger size. So I know exactly what I want to make with this, so I'm hopefully going to make that up soon. And then we have, of course, a 1970s wedding dress pattern. I love this weird little waistline that like kind of scoops up. There's a good chance it won't look very good on me, but we're gonna give it a try anyway. You can always shorten these into mini dresses. I really like the sleeves and like the playing with sheer here. It reminds me of actually a piece that I owned from the 70s, a 70s wedding dress. It almost could basically be this pattern. So I thought this was really gorgeous and worth picking up. This, I believe, is from Stephanie. This is just like a very silly ball gown. I am kind of on a silly ball gown mission right now. I think I have plans for this one and I know what I'm doing. I do still have to get all the materials. I think I actually might even make it in this blue color. But yeah, I just thought this was absolutely gorgeous and kind of silly, so I wanted to give it a whirl, so I picked it up. It is a little bit small for me, so I am gonna have to size it up, but honestly not too big of a deal for something like that. And then we have I don't think these are all separates, but we do have a couple separates here. I have this skirt. I picked up this skirt because I really liked these kind of funkier details it had. It has these kind of like specialized pockets in the front, and then it also has like a bigger patch pocket, and I could just really see myself using this skirt pattern a lot, even just like the base pattern, for when I have narrower cuts of fabric that I still want to be skirts. And then this guy was actually not the one I planned on picking up. I will put the one I was actually trying to buy here. The eBay seller mixed up her listing. The other one is on the way, and I will keep this one, I think, for now. Although, who knows, I might also just declutter it because this isn't really my thing, and I didn't mean to order this. But this is this really gorgeous, it has, I really like this type of sleeve. I have a 1940s pattern, and I'm guessing this is also probably a 1940s pattern given the hair and the weird nose. I don't know why they do the Voldemort nose situation on these 1940s patterns, but they do. But I really liked the sleeve. It was kind of like journalist, and I liked like all these different options for like color peeking. I thought this was a great pattern, so I'm excited to try it. This guy, I do like the jumper, don't get me wrong, but I really bought this for this giant sleeve top. I have a top like this that I've made that I really enjoy, but it doesn't really fit me quite right anymore. It's a little bit too small, so I think having this bigger pattern will help. And then I do like the jumper. I do think these are a cute look together, so I will probably make that as well. And then last but certainly not least, we have a butterick pattern with just some nice gathering and an eyelet. I love gathering here that goes into darts. So I picked this one up because I love that. And then I also love a keyhole. So this had a whole bunch of things going on for it that I enjoy. We're going finally for realsies into fabric. So this stack here I actually got in fabric swaps, trade, and people getting rid of fabric that I know. And then the stack here is all fabric I bought. So let's go through the free fabric first. My friend has been decluttering, and when she's decluttering vintage fabric, she messages me and texts me and asks me what I might like. I thought this butterfly border print was absolutely gorgeous, so I'm really excited. I would like to make a dress with this, and I do think there's enough yardage, but a skirt would also be super cute. But I have a vision for a dress for this guy that I'm hoping I'll be able to commit to. I got this nice little yellow rose print from her. I think it's really cute. I think it would make a really cute little shirt. This one, I actually don't know who it's from. This was from a bigger fabric swap that I went to, but it's this really gorgeous linen with these beautiful, they're almost like chrysanthemum-y looking flowers on it. And I love linen, and I think this is really pretty. So I will hopefully make like a dress, but if not, I'll make a shirt or something. Also from the fabric swap, I got this. I don't know who this is from. I just know that I think it's really, really pretty. I love this color, especially like for kind of the darker months. This is a very like nice gloomy color, and it has there's like a ladder texture like weave into it that I really enjoy, and it feels really nice. So I'm excited to sew this guy up. This one was maybe slightly questionable. I went back and forth, but I did end up picking up this teal linen because I think it would make a nice shirt or even short. I don't know, we'll see what I do with it, but I thought it was really pretty. I could also do a skirt. There's a lot of things I could do with this, and I thought it was really pretty. However, I did wash it with a white shirt, and that white shirt is now splotchy teal. So I made some questionable decisions, but it's gonna be okay. We're gonna figure it out. The first person who gave me those vintage fabrics gave me some other vintage fabrics. We've got this guy here, which I think will make a really cute skirt, and hopefully, if there's enough left over, a detachable bib so I can also wear it as like a little jumper. This guy here is just a really gorgeous blue floral fabric. It is a little like of a tough texture to figure out what exactly I'm doing with it, so I think I'm gonna have to be a little bit particular about what exactly I sew up with this guy. And then this is another really beautiful cotton weave. This has a plaid to it. I love the white. I think the white's gorgeous. I also think there's a chance I end up dyeing this to another color because I don't wear a ton of white because I am a mess. I also could use it for something white, so I don't know. We'll see. The last thing she gave me that I'm very excited about is this gorgeous cold rayon. This fabric is so pretty, and it's very much my color scheme, so I'm excited to make this up into like a very drapey, either 1940 or 1930s dress. All right, we've got my stack of things here, and these all I picked up from different fabric shops across the nation. So let me actually Google some of these shops and what their names were. From Atlanta, we have Fine Fabrics. I was very impressed with this store. It was huge, and I thought the prices were really good. Definitely, if you're in Atlanta, go check it out. I picked up just some basic cotton lawn because I can always use some basic cotton lawn, and I was starting to run low of what I had in my stash. I use it for linings and facings. That's all I use it for. It's a nice handy thing to have in your stash, and I go through it relatively quickly, unfortunately. So we have that, and then also from them we have, oof, it's like not showing it well, but this is a really gorgeous pink fabric that kind of flashes green. I'm thinking I'm going to use this to go to the Easter egg strut this year and make another really like drapey goddessy 1930s dress. And I think the hat potential with this type of fabric will be great. That is the plan for this guy. This one, I don't know yet what I'm doing, but again, it's another one of those beautiful cotton fabrics. This time it's colorful and it has this like gorgeous little striped weave to it that I think is amazing. And I also picked up a linings and a couple of other things there that I'm not going to show. But yeah, again, really affordable. Was absolutely floored by how great that shop was, and so sad I don't have anything like it near me. Next up, this is from Tayla Linda, which was, I guess, an online fabric shop that did vintage reproduction prints. I've always found her work really gorgeous, and when I learned that she was closing her shop, I had to pick some up, and I have always eyed this guy. This is just like a beautiful green border print with bows and flowers and all that good stuff, so I'm really excited to make something with it. I'm hoping, again, to have enough for a dress, but I might just have enough for a skirt. I have 3 3/4 yards, so I do think I can get a dress out of it. I think it's really pretty. It's like exactly my color, and I was very excited, even though I'm very sad again that her store is closing. Next stack is going to be from Style Maker Fabrics. You know her, you love her. I buy her all the time because this is actually the place that we have our sewing retreats at. So I went on 3 sewing retreats this year. Whatever I bought on the first one, I'm sure I already showed you guys, but these are what I picked up on the rest of the sewing retreats. So my most recent sewing retreat, which you'll see at the end of the year, all the things that I produced from this retreat was very knit focused for me. I was trying to get more comfortable sewing with knits. I did buy a couple of knits from her. This is a gorgeous wool and silk blend, and it has these little speckles in it. And if you know me, and if you've been around this channel, I love a speckled fabric. And even better that it like fits into what I've been working on learning how to make goal-wise. So very exciting stuff. And then we also have this guy here. This is another really high quality knit. I think she actually still has this one on her fabric. That other one sold out pretty quickly, but this one I believe is still there, and it's just a really nice ribbed knit that I plan on making a cute top out of, and I'm pretty excited for. Continuing along, this I believe is a cotton. It might be a cotton and linen blend. I can't quite recall. I have it labeled as a cotton, so I think it's just a cotton. I just really like the vibrancy of this, and I have a lot of trims that I think this would really highlight and feature super well. So that is why I picked this guy up. And now we also, for the very last, she has remnants piles there, which are very dangerous. And I saw this and I thought it was perfect. And in an earlier sewing pile video, you saw I made a whole bunch of overalls. This is destined to become another pair of those overalls because it is nice to have a kind of more basic for me denim one in your wardrobe. So I grabbed this to go ahead and make a little bit of denim. Next up, we are headed to Victoria, BC in Canada. I went there with my parents for a weekend trip, and if you have not been and you live in Seattle or in the like Pacific Northwest in general, highly recommend going. I was so impressed by the quality of the food, the shopping, the gardens. It was phenomenal. I have been to Victoria before. Last time I went, it was the middle of winter. It was cold, it was rainy, and we were there for just one day. But I stopped by a fabric shop there called Gala Fabrics. I thought they had some really interesting things. They definitely also carried something that like Style Maker or kind of other shops in the States carried, but they had some really unique things, including this really gorgeous like window pane upholstery fabric. I thought this was so cute. I loved it with a little black cat on it. Right now, my plan is to for sure make a bodice from it, but I have enough to do some sort of bottom, so I'm thinking shorts, pants, short overalls. We're gonna see where it takes us after I get the bodice out of this, but I just thought it was so stinking cute and I couldn't pass it up. I also got to meet somebody who watches this channel, and that's always fun. It was the first time I've been recognized when I've been out with my parents, so I think they got a little bit of a hoot out of that. I really enjoyed seeing the shop. I definitely recommend if you're in Victoria. It is a bit of a trek and it is walkable outside of the main like downtown area, but it is a walk, so be prepared. But yeah, I thought that fabric was cute. I was only gonna buy one fabric when I was there, but I also saw this gorgeous periwinkle rayon. My goal has also been to make a few more rayon dresses. I don't make rayon dresses that often because I don't think there's that many cute little rayon prints out there, but I thought this one was adorable and I knew I wanted it to make a dress with, and I'm super excited. But yeah, it was a great shop, and again, definitely check them out. And then last, but certainly not least, I was in San Francisco for a work trip. I was there for a conference because I do work in tech, so that does sometimes put me places like San Francisco for things. And I went to Britex Fabric, and I saved this trim to talk about too. They are super gorgeous, gorgeous fabric store. I wish, again, we had something like it here in Seattle, although I will say she's pricey. This was one of the higher end fabric stores I've been in. The only fabric stores I've been in that are comparable as far as being this expensive are in New York that I've been to. I'm not saying that others don't exist in the US, but these were definitely very like New York prices and pretty expensive, which it was gorgeous stuff. Biggest thing there is if you're looking for linen prints, it's a must check out. All sorts of beautiful tweeds, brocades, solid linens. They have a pretty great collection of Liberty. Great shop. First thing I picked up from them was this cute little bow trim that I can see working on all sorts of different garments. Also, I finally have my ruffler foot up and running, so now I can gather eyelet trim myself a lot easier. So that opens the doors for all sorts of shenanigans. The other thing that I picked up there that I was really, really excited about is a linen print. This gorgeous linen fabric features pansies that are watercolor. So we have three of my favorite things: linen, pansies, and watercolor, all in one fabric. It is the very, very light pink. It's so funny because I am wearing a light pink right now. I cannot say light pink is always my favorite color, but I think with the pansies, it'll work really, really well. And I loved this print. I loved the like organicness of the watercolored pansies mixed with the grid. But this might be the most expensive fabric per yard in the stack, actually fairly easily. I want to say this was about $55 a yard. So again, like I said, this place was expensive. They do have like discounted fabrics, but they're still going to be more pricey than if you were to walk into literally any of the other fabric stores that I talked about. That's it. Quotes for what I bought this year. Hopefully you enjoyed. Hopefully, I don't know, you're going through somewhere and you found another spot to stop at for fabrics. I'm excited to get making on some of this stuff. Actually, I am literally filming this because I want to finish my roll with knits. They don't sit in my stash because they're super bulky and so fast to make. Actually, right after I finish filming this video, I'm actually gonna cut them out and make them straight into shirts and put them in my drawers. But yeah, with that, hopefully you enjoyed this. I definitely, again, have like slowed down my rate of consumption, although I still am bringing in way too much fabric and I need to get it together. So yeah, we're gonna see what next year looks like. I will talk a bit about my goals for that in my eventual goals video for next year, which is I believe the very first video I put up for next year, or it's the very last one of this year. I can't remember which. But yeah, we're just kind of cruising through the end of the year. So I have one more sewing project for you guys. Then I have a crafting project. Then I will show you everything I sewed off camera in like the back end of the year, which has actually been quite a bit. And then the very, very last video, I add up all of my stats for sewing and take you along with me for that. And then I have my goals video, and then I take a month off. So that is what you have to look forward. If that sounds interesting, definitely subscribe and stick around. I would love to have you. And as always, you can support my channel by commenting down below and giving this a thumbs up. Then of course, I will see you next week at 8 a.m. Pacific time. Bye!